Alright, section 4, maintenance, lubricating practice. The mechanical equipment that requires the lubricant to overcome the friction, minimize the wear of the day of the corrosion, lubricating IAWU, if it's army lubricating, or when available, the others help us achieve the more major equipment that requires the lubricating air of the pump of the engine. Valve with the other equipment require lubricating to keep the operating smooth with the pivot the points with the various equipment that should be lubricated directly with lubricate closed fuse surface to prevent corrosion, coat unpainted surface the lubricant positive the oil with the prevents corrosion lubricating work with the general ability to handle the preventive maintenance program. Valve maintenance. Valves are divided with the pipeline terminal with the control of the fuel flow, with the most part with the hand with the operator that can be started at the top of the directed flow of the fuel stream. There's several kinds of valve that each of the design to do with a specific job of the section. Cover the thermal pressure relief valve, the pressure regulating valve, the gate valve, check valve, valve, the needle valve, each of the valve with the special maintenance requirement to maintain the valve with the possible condition valve, the maintenance precautions. Never force a valve with a wrench to try to find out whether it's stuck with the maybe packing with a two-type open and close with the valve to prevent damage. Make sure the pump station operator know which of the valve is open and closed. Try to avoid interrupting pumping operation. Maintenance for the operation. Periodically inspect outside of the valve with the dirt and clean operate. Necessary. Inspect outside of the valve with the rust, outside of the corrode. Scrape the valve with the bare metal, with the coat, with the primer, paint with a proof paint, not point, and paint the valve stem. Valve removal. The valves on the inland petroleum distribution system fitted with a flange on each of the side. Flanger bolt of the flange fittings, which under the end and turn with a couple of welds into the pipeline with it become with a worn damage should be replaced with the remove of the valve with the pipeline terminal flow with the steps. Back off the line on each side with the defective valve with the start with the firefighting equipment to place for the container under the valve with the catch for the expelled fuel. Dispose of the drain IAW local standard operating procedure with hazard material. Remove the flange bolt with the gasket. Remove the defective valve. Clean flange with the new valve with the wire brush. Do not damage the surface of the flange. Wipe off the dirt with the dry cleaning. Shovel the coat with the new gasket with grease. Lubricate flange bolt with a thin valve with a film of grease. Place with the gasket and flange. Align with the valve. Flange with the pipe flange, replace flange bolt, work around flange tighten the first one bolt with the bolt exactly opposite with the other side of the face of the flange. Draw all the bolts within tighten evenly. Open the line of fuel flow, check leaks, gate valve maintenance. Gate valves read with the pipeline and start with the top of the fuel flow with the gate valve with the name of the gates. Made up of the two discs with the separated with the solid split ledge of the discs are lower with the fuel stem. Stream with the wedge fork for the disc parts, disc apart with the push for the against the seat to create the seal of the cut off the fuel flow completely raised with the wedge disc allows fuel to flow clearly with the valve the scraper to pass through the valve of the gate valve that may have the raising or non-raising stem of the top of the lower gate slowly into the fuel stream, reducing the amount of surge pressure produced in the line. The gate valve has the rising stem. Hand wheel remains the same height as its turn. Turning the wheel counterclockwise, cover the threaded stem into the center of the rise, bringing the gate up to with it. Turning the wheel clockwise, cover the stem to move down, lowering the gate into place. One advantage of the rising stem gate valve is that it easily tell the glance whether or not the gate is open closed. The stem sticks out over the above the wheel when the valve is open, and if the level of the wheel when the valve is closed, the valve is non-rising stem. The stem does not move up and down. After the hand wheel is turned, gate moves up and down with the internal thread set. Stem operates the gate valve that is completely open and with a completely shut position. Do not use the slowly throttle. Have closing the gate. This will cover the much more over the disc. This will no longer tight the closed position. Operator should back up with the hand wheel with a quarter of the turn, preventing freezing. This precaution will prolong the life of the gate valve, tightening the packing nuts, even the tension of the valve leaking around the stem. Replace the valve if tightening packing nuts do not stop the leak. With it to repack the valve, close the valve completely to keep the fuel in line. Remove the hand wheel with the rising stem gate valves. Skip the stem on the rising stem gate valve. Remove the packing nuts, packing flange gland. Remove the old packing stuffing box with the packing tool. Clean stuffing box. Coil the new piece with the graphite spiral with the graphite rings to fit the stuffing box. The old packing cutting of the guide. If rings are used, cutting the rings to end of them must be exactly. Cutting the new piece with the graphite with the stuffing box. Place ring with the top and the one of another same way with the end of the layer, maybe the opposite side of the stem of the previous layer. Force packing down in firmly in place. Putting gland packaging, flan packing nuts back in place. Alternate, tighten enough back off the nuts until they are a little more hand tight. Place hand wheel nuts in back. Place tight the nut. Open the valve. Check leak if necessary. Adjust packing nuts to stop leak. Or check valve maintenance. Use with the discharge pump with the tanker for a manifold to prevent backflow with the fuel. Hinge disc allow with the fuel flow with the one direction only. With the fuel flowing right direction, push with the hinge disc out of the way. Fuel flowing in the wrong direction. Push the disc into the seat with the close of the opening and arrow top of the valve with the point with the correct fuel flow direction. Check with the fuel Valves operating will require the little maintenance of the other, tightening with the cover nuts, regulated with a bolt scraper that cannot be padded with the check valves. Ball valve maintenance. There are several types of ball valves within inland petroleum distributions with the range from 1/2 inch to 4 inch if they are weave various vents, drains, under pressure gauges, thermal relief valve. They are 4-inch ball valve used on the side valve of the receiver of the launcher. Only maintenance required with the ball valves periodically ensure they are operating properly. Alright, thermal relief valve maintenance. Thermal relief valve maintenance installed with the receiver of the launchers in all areas of the pipeline. There's no operator maintenance required with these valves. Periodically ensure that they are operating properly. Trainer assembly maintenance. The trainer assembly should be inspected with the often cleaned out with the need of the day out. Often will need with the cleaning depends on how much of the fuel is pumped with the line train with how much of the debris is carried out with the train by the fuel with the actual going with the train with the check with the basket may only be weighed with the telling if there need cleaning on some line with the pressure gauge have been installed with each side of the trainer assembly, but the difference between the reading of the two gauges is called the pressure differential. Pressure differential should be noted recorded with the pressure regular basis. Pressure differential increases over a period of time. That is the difference between two readings increases. Pressure is dropping on one side of the trainer and to the other. The problem because of the layer of particles broken in the flow. Trainer needs cleaning to clean a trainer assembly. Follow these steps. Make sure an extra strainer basket gaskets are on hand. Stop pumping operation. Close the gate valve to each side of the strainer. Place container nearby the catch. Any spilled fluid. Hold the strainer basket. Remove the assembly. Remove the nuts of the bolts. Hold the strainer. Cover in place. Remove the cover carefully. Lift out the basket. Hit the basket against the housing. This could damage the basket and cause debris to drop down in the housing. Put the dirty basket in the container. Please cover the line strain. Put the bolt down. Clean the basket air with remove from the assembly with the compressor air with a high pressure water. Direct the flow of the air or water against the outside of the basket opposite the direction of the fuel flow. This will force out of the screen basket with remove any of the gum on the tar with the dry cleaning solvent with a soft brush. Apply solvent on the outside of the basket. Inspect basket for rust. Inspect if the basket has become rusty. Replace it with an extra basket. Inspect gasket if worn. Replace with a new one. Put the cover back in place. Replace with nuts. Tighten them. Open the gate valves on each side of the strainer assembly. Start pumping operation. Check for leaks around the strainer. Pump unit maintenance. All maintenance must be complied with special permit conditions which may exist with the consult of the local environmental compliance office to ensure the proper operation. At all time, pump operator mechanics must read applicable manufacturer technical manuals, current lubrication over the pump unit. These publications are given the direction of the operation of the specific pump unit instruction. Maintain them. Pump units that are frequently should be inspected daily. Operated the ideal pump units should be inspected regularly to make sure that they can be putting up quickly defective. It should be noted with the required with the damage of the pump units. Defective developed during pumping operation should be required as soon as possible. All pump operation come to the end. Problem develops which could be the damage of the pump unit for the other piece of the equipment. The pumping of the operation should be stopped at once. Some maintenance should be performed daily on pumps units before, during, and after pump operation. Other actions should be done quarterly with the 250 hours operation whenever it comes first. Pressure gauge maintenance. Pressure gauge are instrument of the pipeline storage facility that measures total amount with the force being exerted with the fuel. Pressure gauge made with the glass front with the pressure indicator with the dial with the number to scale with the lever system. Lever system measure with the pressure move with the indicator to particular reading on the scale of the gauge damage with the rest of the vibration except for the pressure of the physical beef and stress of the metal. Inspect gauges off and replace broken glass, tighten, loosen, cover the outside of the gauge if they're slightly rusty. Carefully sand it down with the bare metal with the prime and then repaint it with this. If the gauge is extremely rusty or cannot be repaired on the spot, report the gauge to the pump station operator pipeline supervisor. Also report gauge appears registering incorrect readings so that it can be calibrated. Meter maintenance. Meters are devices that keep track of the amount of fuel flow through the section of the pipeline into the out storage tank within that can be cut down with the loss of the fuel received with the delivery. Meters can also be detected with the detect leaks. Go over the drops of throw out of the 1 meter the next time with the fuel being lost between the 30 meters. But the displacement meters are most frequently the meters always are on set with the number of the gallons of fuel with the inch of the missing measuring chamber. The inside of the mechanism rotate with the fuel is emptied out of the chamber. Meter register for the amount of fuel in gallons and counter. Organizational maintenance for the meter is limited. Simple repairs you not try to take with the meter completely after the field flowing steps can be the organization level. Or pack of the drive shaft. Read the manufacturer's manual with the meter with the note of the drive shaft with the pack with the ring packing with the prevent leak of the meter with the leaking, tightening with the packaging, gland by hand does not stop with the leak of the ring packaging, properly relieve the replacing flowing with the direction manufacturer manual to put with the new ring packaging. Place gasket full with the direction manufacturer manual with the replace with the worn gasket. Make sure with the gasket right kind with the meter. Use gasket with the wrong side with the thickness will cause the vibrations in the meter. Lubricate a few drops of light general purpose lubricating oil with the oiler. Do they often make sure the oil piece over the meter are moving freely out of the oil, counter shaft with the counter gear with the totalizer shutter and shutter key oil, all working points of the jewelry bearing instrument lubricating oil. To the diagram in the manufacturer manual, locate these points. Remove water and sediment. Remove the meter drain plug once a week to let the water and sediment flow out of the bottom of the meter. Replace with the plug when the bottom is clean. If the meter has not been used, then sometimes drain out water sediment before pumping. Putting meter back in the pipeline. Pipeline maintenance over a period of time. Debris collects in the buildup of the pipeline. Debris must be small fragments, slag piece, gasket, fillings left over construction repair pipeline. May also particle of setting out fuel during daily operation. When debris starts to collect in the pipeline becomes rough. Friction builds up slowly. Fuel with the fuel stream slows down. More debris settles out, and the diameter of the pipeline becomes smaller. The less fuel passes through the line. Capability of pumps pushing fuel through the line is reduced. If buildup of the debris is allowed to continue the train or clog, the fuel is contaminated. Eventually, the pipe is completely blocked. Section 3 of the chapter of the pipeline scraper is operation. Chapter 8, Control Products and Pipelines. Testing.